residential and agricultural. And that's the chance that you take, or any concern does. But it takes it, when they get the rollback, once the property, I don't know, Jake, you can answer that. Once we rezone it, is not the rollback immediate?
Yes, it starts. So it'll
So
be a
whether
roll.
the project ever gets built or not, there's going to be some ramification to the rezoning process, but the applicant, you know, I'm sure, Tom, you've made the applicant aware of that. And it's not the intent that the project would not take place, and we wouldn't go through all this process for just a small chance that it goes through, but that is a chance that is taken.
David, I appreciate you telling me that. I did not know it. Thank you for the information. Before we vote, I'm just going to say one more thing, just real quick, and I'll make it quick. Well, what I said earlier, I do really mean that. And also in return, I said this last time, I've always been the type of person that I've never felt like the government should be able to tell you what you can and cannot do with your property unless it was in danger of others or causing some kind of harm or anything, a nuisance to others. But I'm just a real big component on it. I just don't believe the government should be able to allow to tell people, especially something's been in the family for years. And one thing that I've heard the young lady say when she came up here was you had no interest in putting any kind of industrial in the area, housing development. It's either this or farming, correct? Okay, that's all I have to say. If anybody wants to make a motion or have anything else to say.
I need to ask David, if I may, please, Mr.
Sure.
Chairman, how do we need to structure this motion?
All right. Well, according to, based on the planning board recommendation, I always give you a sheet. And you have that sheet available where it starts the statement of consistency and reasonableness of the request. And it is based on the land use plan. And I've gotten information tonight that will trigger me to ask the planning board some things on my own.
Right.
But if I am directed for further by the board, I will, pursue other things. But since your planning department consists of me and I have other duties, it doesn't happen just in a month's time, so I'll leave it at that. But you would make your statement like you did the other rezonings tonight. Would you have this, and since we've gone through it, I'm assuming you've read these statements before, that the county's land use plan is based on transit zones, and this is in the O2 rural community, is to establish a low density development. And basically your statement is saying it is consistent with the Stokes 2035 plan, and it is a reasonable request in a nutshell. That is what you're stating when you make these motions. I do go in and add a few things to it based on the planning board and the procedural things, but this is my perception of what, when the planning board makes a recommendation of yay, you would get one opposite, you would say it does not meet the requirements based on things from the planning board, and statements that would be consistent or not consistent with the plan. And then the last statement is basically that it is a reasonable and in the public interest. But that again is the requirements that we do for our conditional zoning to make it, that we are trying to follow the land use plan. And we also, I think I was asked by, you can, and we should, in certain cases, amend the land use plan. And I see some need potentially for doing that, not just for this particular use, but for some other uses that have come in or not specifically stated. I think it would be beneficial, instead of trying to read into something, that we actually do some more work on that land use plan. Again, it's not the 10 Commandments. It was created to adjust with how the county grows.
Hey, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion, and with this provision, I'd like to give it my best effort toward making making a motion. But I may need a little help from David as I make that motion. Do I have your permission
Yes, sir.
to make the motion? And if it needs to be tweaked or fine-tuned, allow David to help me with it?
That's fine.
Okay, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion. This proposed request is consistent with the Stokes County 2035 comprehensive plan and other adopted plans. The parcel is currently zoned RA, residential agriculture, and the requested zoning district is M1CZ, light manufacturing conditional zoning. And the request for a utility scale solar photovoltaic facility, solar farm, is permitted use in the M1CZ zoning. And that this project would be, is a reasonable request and would be in the best interest of our citizens, our public. Help me if you need to.
Okay. The proposed conditions, as I stated in my agenda packet, we had minimums. They have used the same basic requirements, but they've increased the buffers and the setbacks to accommodate what was heard in the planning meeting. I would suggest that you use the proposed conditions that were submitted by Mr. Terrell and follow those guidelines, and that's what would be reflected in the minutes and the plan. Also, that there is a final site plan based on, final site plan before this facility was constructed will be submitted to the planning department, will be to review to make sure they met all these requirements.
Okay, I'd like to add whatever is appropriate from what David just shared with us to my motion.
You have that, Shannon.
You're talking about the jobs and local contracts decommissioning,
Yes.
vegetative buffer, panel
But
setback.
the other thing is that a final site plan, because there's portions of, I guess the easiest way to do it, Jimmy, would be to use this, and where it was not mentioned, the other things that were mentioned in the conditions that the planning board recommended, these be adjusted based on Bear Branch's proposal to be increased, but all the other things, if there's anything left, I think which is simply that a final site plan is submitted to the planning department before construction begins. And that, again, that would be a.
Let me, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, ask Shannon a question.
Yes, sir.
Madam Clerk, based on the information just received from our planner, David Sudra, can you incorporate all of what he just mentioned into this motion?
Yes.
Okay. Then that's my motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I could second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments?
Discussion. Right.
Discussion, yeah?
Yeah, I'm not, I'd just like to get on the record that I'm not convinced that it does meet our 2035 plan without the policy updates that, and the document updates that I've requested. And my concerns are all policy related. It certainly has nothing to do with the specifics of this proposal.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Move on to have a motion for adjournment.
So moved. Second.
All right.
We beat our planning board by 15 minutes.
Not yet. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.